and we brought that report to you for your consideration. Today, our team is going to provide for you momentarily. I know we're trying to intercept the screen here, but we're going to bring to you just some updates on where we're at. There was some information that we believed coming out of the last conversation, you may have had some questions about relative to insurance dollars, reimbursement, that type of thing. So we do want to bring that forward. We've also continued to have conversation relative to some possible options and ideas that we are entertaining. And as a reminder, you know, we continue to have these conversations. Our number one job is, yes, we absolutely love our students at Fort Myers Beach Elementary. And I think I speak on behalf of our entire governance team. The opportunity also exists for us to be good fiscal stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And so that's always top of mind as well. So with that in mind, it looks like Dr. Savage has arrived. How was that for some tap dancing until he arrives? So we'll turn it over to Dr. Savage and our fantastic team. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Carlin. Good afternoon, board members. Attorney Huffman, I really appreciate the opportunity to continue the conversation of Fort Myers Beach Elementary. We'll go ahead and move to the next slide. So today we're going to talk through 5 updates before we have the board conversation. It starts with just kind of the asset maintenance piece. I want to give you an update on what has transpired there, and a brief overview of that as well as over the summer. We want to talk a little bit more in detail about the partnership with Heights Elementary School. As you board members are aware, we moved from the San Carlos site over to the Heights site. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that work has looked like and what the upcoming school year will look like for those faculties and for those families and for those students. Then we're going to kind of give an update of the state operations perspective of where we're at now in terms of our state operational aspect. We're going to give an insurance claims update just based on our current standing with various different storms that we've had and kind of the claims in that standpoint. And then last but not least, we'll touch on some of the more innovative options and partnerships that we've been looking into and kind of the why behind that as well. With that said, we'll go ahead and move first to the asset maintenance perspective.
All right, so this slide gives you an easy to read visual on how much we've spent on this location since October 2024. As you can see, we've spent just under $975,000 over the last 11 months. From those funds, approximately $700,000 has gone to facility assessments, remediations, as well as moving and storage. Outside of the rough order of magnitude, there are very few reoccurring expenses. We have purchased 5 dehumidifiers for $8,700. We spent $10K for floor reinforcement and vapor barriers. And outside of that, we perform HVAC preventative maintenance in May 2025. And currently we're conducting weekly checks to monitor for just general condition and humidity levels.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. As you just heard, Fort Myers Beach Elementary and Heights Elementary have partnered this year. This partnership is here to help reduce the burden on Fort Myers Beach families regarding specifically distance to the school and travel time. Heights Elementary is located just 18 minutes from Fort Myers Beach, making it more accessible for families. As we move into talking about enrollment, as of Thursday, July 31st, Fort Myers Beach Elementary had an enrollment of 39 students across grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Currently, 4 grade levels have 4 fewer students, fewer than 10 students, while 1st grade has 10 students and 4th grade has 11. Principals Baxa and Palo of Fort Myers Beach Elementary and Heights Elementary are working together to share resources this upcoming year. This will create a positive and supportive experience for students of Fort Myers Beach Elementary. They will explore the possibilities. When I say they, the principals will explore possibilities of sharing staff and to provide a more traditional option for any students or grade levels that have low enrollment. If that opportunity to share staff happens to arise, the principals will work together to communicate with their staffs respectively and their families to ensure that there's a transparent decision-making in those particular areas. Moving forward, all communication regarding the Fort Myers Beach campus itself will go through the updates from Principal Baxa. There will be a specific section that's going to be dedicated to outline any ongoing work that might be taking place throughout the course of this year. Thank you.
moving into the state operations side, we, as you are aware, at the prior meeting, we went over a report that we had engaged a third-party consultant to do a complete analysis and start to produce kind of some understanding of where do you go from here, considering lots of different vantage points, considering enrollment, considering the storm recurrence, the damage that's been observed, just all those different feasibility aspects to really kind of put it all together and put into more of some traditional options to get us going. One of the things that we consider as we go through it is not a very easy thing to do. Obviously, after Hurricane Ian, which just want to make sure we kind of surface for the entire governance team, because obviously we've had some turnover on that team since that time. Ian was an absolutely catastrophic storm that had just in prior, we had not observed that level of destruction on the island to the magnitude that it was. And so it completely destroyed really those buildings and just completely it was a game changer in terms of that site. I think the understanding at that time was this is really a once in a 50 to 100 year type of event. And because of that, we'll go ahead and build back the building. And so they put in roughly $6 million to get the historic building up and running as it was. I don't believe that they anticipated that on the two subsequent storms that building would be affected by those subsequent storms as well. Had they anticipated that, I think they may have chosen a different option or considered other options. So really from this, one of our big aspects here is we want to model fiscal responsibility. We really want to be wise with taxpayer dollars. And so we have to kind of consider the evidence that we've seen over these last few years, that those storm events, we have to be very careful in what we do on that site and be very strategic so that we don't continuously find ourselves every storm season with damage. And so that's a big aspect of why we engage a third-party consultant to give us an understanding of what are some good options that could help harden that site from future damage so we're not continuing to spend. As you've seen already, the amount of maintenance dollars we put in just to keep the asset where it is still substantial. And that's excluding all the new construction options and so forth. So if we want to have all the different options available to us, one of the things that is required at the state level is an advanced plant survey. What essentially this relies upon for the district is that the state has a set of criteria that they utilize for all of the school districts. And this is an attempt for the state to kind of control for some of that stewardship. So essentially what they do is they have a state-defined criteria in this report that we submit, and it utilizes the exact information that they require for their analysis. And essentially what it does is it compares the costs of remodeling and modernizing a building to the cost of replacing it with new construction. So if we want to evaluate options such as building a completely new school, maybe at a much higher elevation or any of those other aspects, we require a state report to do that. And it's detailed, it's comprehensive, and again, it's standardized across the entire state. Everyone must do that, and we've also had to do that numerous times whenever we have facilities where we consider these new options that are brand new construction. Because in some cases, depending on the findings of that report, the state can either say no, you have to continue to work within just that existing building footprint, or yes, it makes good sense to completely go in a different direction. So we have engaged that same third-party consultant that did all the extra work. We're going to allow them to continue to utilize the state criteria because it has to conform to the state expectations. And when they are completed with that report, we submit it to the state via our planning office, and then they give us a review to determine what options we really have available to us based on that review. So we'll have a chance for questions and comment after we get to the next areas.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Warren Wilson, Risk Manager. The next slide is on the insurance claims update. Most of you are familiar with the dashboard. It's a much more detailed document. I can send that to you. I thought this would be much more useful to you, especially as talking points if you're working with your constituents. The recovery is going forward. We've recovered $70.5 million for our wind policy. We're only $4.5 million remaining on the outstanding insurance claim. We received the $5.75 million for flood, the $55 million lap from the state, 12.38 from FEMA. I'll stop here for a moment. If anyone asks you how much money we received from FEMA, it's $12.38 million. That's it. Going forward, $17.5 million from the state for infrastructure and $1.2 million from the county to reimburse us for the shelters. That the total is $162.38 million. The rough order of magnitude from the storm is north of $250 million. So you can do the simple math of looking at that $162 million figure and see what the shortfall is. Currently, we're in a dispute with FEMA under our applications for recovery. They're disputing some $30,000 in deductibles. They don't recognize our deductibles. $20 million difference on the Hector Cafferetta permanent structure, $7.5 million for the Hector Cafferetta temporary structure, another $5 million not acknowledging that converting composite roofs to metal roofs is actually something called mitigation. So you can see we have a discrepancy with FEMA of some $62 million. Let's focus on Fort Myers Beach Elementary School, because I know folks are focusing on this particular campus. The damage to the entire campus from Ian was some $20 million. The grand total of insurance we received from the wind and flood policies is $6 million. You can see the difference there. The cost to rebuild the historic building alone after Ian was $6 million. Please be mindful that the rebuild cost was not tied to the amount of insurance that we received. It's just a coincidence. The maximum flood insurance policy limit is available from FEMA is $500,000. That is the most amount of flood insurance that you can get for any single building. We received $414,000 under that policy for Hurricane Milton flood damage. The reason why there's a small difference between the limit is because it's paid at actual cash value, not replacement cost. There are exclusions, and it's only tied to repairs. That's why when you see that dollar amount that the CEO presented earlier, the $974,600 figure, if we subtract the insurance that we had from that, the $414,000, we're still $560,000 upside down with just maintaining this particular property. We also even had damage from Hurricane Helene, not covered by insurance, paid for by district proceeds, $32,775. I want the district folks to be mindful that this $162 million that we received, while it sounds like a tremendous amount of money, that's from all sources, from every campus, all our 94 schools, our 1,072 buildings to support 88,000 students. That's to give us some perspective about how large the loss was. And even though we are working diligently to try and recover as much as we can, there are no guarantees that we will receive any additional funding from FEMA. And we will be moving forward with the forgiveness program for the LAP funding, because that LAP funding money from the state, from our state legislature, is in the form of a loan. So we will proceed going forward with moving towards the forgiveness of that $55 million.
All right, and last but not least, basically, we wanted to kind of highlight some of the other aspects that have been continuing. So first off, we've just had excellent engagement with our municipal partner. In this case, it's Town of Fort Myers Beach. Just really thrilled. We actually have the mayor is present even today, is engaged with you all as other electeds, but we've even had a lot of engagement with the staff as well, the town manager, as well as the deputy town manager. I think it's really important that we keep a line of dialogue going, just because we understand as the town is in its recovery, that this is obviously a really high priority for them. And so we want to keep that open line of dialogue, as well as something that has now come to the conversation really more or less is this dialogue around a potential charter model. The charter model, just want to kind of highlight what some of the benefits are for why this wasn't really something we contemplated in our initial report, but it's something that we're bringing up here. And we've continued to explore, and there's a few reasons why there are some advantages of the charter. First, there are charter statutes operationally that allow for hybrid type of programming, which is really just a unique way for charter schools. One of the challenges you have with a small school on a barrier island with a small enrollment is you want to provide a full complement of services, but you recognize that sometimes the amount of students you have a hard time offsetting that cost. It's been a longstanding challenge with it. That's not unique. There are lots of small schools all around the state. And one of the unique ways that charters can step in and produce that aspect is they can leverage resources within their network. And so you'll have schools that'll have a teacher of record at a school located far, far away that are able to kind of provide some of those pieces at a more cost-effective solution so that students and families get a lot of really unique offerings, but the actual staff footprint at the building maybe isn't quite as substantial as you would look, just paying for the head count. Additionally, from a capital perspective, the charter provides a whole new additional amount of money that potentially can qualify for these types of projects. So when new charters come up, and even charters that are not new but have the ability to tap into PICO dollars, so that's public education capital outlay, our state set aside a substantial amount of money every year to really support charter schools in this specific way. And charter schools have to qualify for it. So there's several criteria they have to apply for that, in addition to other types of grants and so forth they can achieve. That can help add a significant additional amount of money into that on an annual basis. That's just something that a lot of our schools take advantage of. We have them here in Lee County as well that tap into those PICO dollars. That's money that we as a traditional school district can't tap into, but charter allows for that. And so the reason why we mentioned the insurance aspect is that what you've heard already is, in all likelihood, any amount of money we put into the school, it's going to have to be at the expense of other projects that we have budgeted, other projects that we'll have to delay. And those are any of those capital dollars we have, such as technology for schools. That would require maybe saying we're not going to pay for certain technology so that we can do more there. It could be new schools that we have planned to build that we're going to delay in the capital plan or eliminate altogether so that we can prioritize whatever project we do there. It can be maintenance, replacements of roofs, air conditioning, other unexpected storm damage that we may see in future storms. All those things are competing for the same capital dollars. And so anytime you can introduce new revenue to the equation, that gives you potential to help do a more meaningful build or renovation or any of the work that we can do there. So all those things are just some of the many benefits that a charter model provides. Because there's still public schools and there's still public school students in our district that's a part of it. So just wanted to highlight that. Another piece that we haven't talked about, but is also something worth thinking about that we are digging into as well, is some potential benefits of either a P3 or just engaging third parties. And up until this point, we've predominantly looked at it as a municipal arrangement where it's the town of Fort Myers Beach, and then there's an organized group, an ad hoc, which was really designed to try to help bring some of those different stakeholder perspectives forward, as well as just the town of Fort Myers Beach as well, because they get to hear from many different constituents in their area. But that we're the only other party in that engagement. And as you can see, we're strapped from a capital standpoint across the entire district. We have to make every penny count for all the students, including Fort Myers Beach, including Lehigh, including Cape Coral, Estero, downtown Fort Myers, and so forth. So those are very competitive dollars. So for us, sometimes if you can get a third party, a different partner to the table that can provide some value, that can provide solutions that help us so that we're not maybe having to solely come up. Some P3s around our state we found unique things where they either help with financing when school districts, they simply don't have the finances to do it, or the speed at which, because again, one of our challenges, if we were to build a traditional school, we are held fully to SREF standards. Whereas if you have a charter model, that does not apply. If a charter builds, they are able to build at a different level of building standard than what we would have to do under SREF. Now, if we were to build it as a district piece, that again, SREF applies to that. With a P3, potentially have other options there. You have other more unique building alternatives that you could do in that case. So that kind of leads us to the last option, which is really this benefits of third-party engagement in general. Really for us, when you're asked to pick between a rock and a hard place, sometimes the best thing to do is, are you really exploring all the alternatives? I think that's one of the things Dr. Carnell and this board have challenged us to do is, okay, we understand some of the more traditional options, the rebuilding of the historic building, the filling in the floor, and those potentially help you for some of the more minor storms. But we know that they don't really help you on a major storm. And so when when we can't raise the entire building, which is something we certainly looked at, could we just bring the entire building up? It was very clear from our consultant that is not a possibility, that could cause the building to collapse on itself. So now you're looking at other potentially much more expensive options. And that's a lot of additional capital dollars, which would require some substantial investment and deprioritization of other plans. So why would we not at least consider, are there other unique options that would make it, so everyone wins? So the town of Fort Myers Beach is excited, that those families are excited, that we as a community, are being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. Is there a way for everyone to win? And in order to do that, we wanted to make sure we're really talking to all the different right people who may be able to help provide insights and ideas and opportunities for us to bring back to you as a board. That's something that we owe you, and that's something that we have continued to do. That's all the more reason why we've kind of laid out the timetable so far today, which is, we continue to maintain the site. We are engaging now to get this report done that we can submit to the state. That gives us the full different range of options for any unique options that we may want to consider on that site. And we continue to listen to any offers and ideas of different folks that we have. And we are engaging with one group right now. We're really digging in to try to look if there's a very creative solution. We're very excited by some of the preliminary work we've engaged with that party. But at this point, we're not ready to kind of talk more specifics on that, except to say that's a very exciting prospect, something we'd be very excited to bring about in a future meeting. But right now, we want to focus on today, which is getting the school open, getting those students back in school at Heights Elementary, getting an update to you, and then standing ready for any questions and comments you may have as a board. At this time, I'm going to pass it back to the superintendent. If she has any other comments before we turn it back to the vice chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Savage and team. We appreciate the update. And, as I said before, it was very important to us as a team that you had an opportunity to hear out loud. Sometimes we talk, with our staff behind closed doors. So we want to make sure that we surface not only for you, but for the community, the ongoing conversations we're having. And remember, we're always balancing the care and concern that we have with all of our students. Obviously we've talked about our Fort Myers Beach students joining in with Heights Elementary, and it's a wonderful school. And I know the two principals have been collaborating, so it's been really exciting to see their work. And I know that Miss Neely has been working closely with them. So we know that our children are well cared for and they continue to receive their education. So that's primary. And then also, like I said, being good fiscal stewards of the taxpayer dollars. We know that we're all entrusted with those valuable dollars, and just really trying to work through some innovative options so that everybody has some skin in the game, and that we've got some opportunities to think differently on this solution. So we look forward to any questions that you have, and certainly we'll go back and reference in the slide if there's specific questions you'd like to ask. So I'll turn it over to you for your conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carlin. Any questions, comments? Mr. Persons?
I'm very pro getting a school back out there. I've never made that a secret.
Can't believe it.
I just want to commend you on where you're going here. I think it's the best idea is to get some kind of a charter in there. I know there's a lot of private, well, they're not really private, they're public charters that are K-12s. And to me, it looks like that could be a possibility also in the future there, because you've got the Bay Oaks there and everything else. So I just don't want that not to be anywhere, not to be mentioned when you're in negotiations with people. I mean, I would say start off with a K-5, but make it where next year K-6, 7, whatever, and grow into it. But if I was going to do a charter there, which I'm not. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. I think it's a great opportunity for the island. Thank you.
Mr. Ribble, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. There's been a lot of passion over this, as you can imagine. I think everyone's kind of settled down now, really focused on how we're going to operate on the beach moving forward. I think we're all pretty much in agreement. We're going to put a structure up there. What that's going to look like, we have quite a few folks that have come up with some drawings and shared them with the community and the newspaper, and so there's a lot of conversation about what the design of the school should be and how it's going to operate. So I'm looking forward to being able to disclose some of the things that we have been talking about with some folks that's confidential. And people say, well, geez, why can't you disclose it? It's like in negotiations. It's like anything else. When you're negotiating, you have to be patient and you have to trust that we're going to do the right thing. But we're going to have a structure out on that beach, guarantee me that. And it's going to be a school. And at the end of the day, everyone's pretty darn happy with what's going to be happening out there. So I just wanted to make those comments.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to clarify again with Superintendent Carlin and Dr. Savage. So just to confirm to the public, we're still providing educational services to the kids of Fort Myers Beach.
Yes, sir. That will take place at Heights Elementary, one of our 8 schools out there. So we're excited about that.
Okay. For me personally, I know Mr. Ribble had talked about putting a structure out there. For me, if we want a structure out there, I don't know if I'm on board with Lee County School District putting a structure out there. If there wants to be a charter, that's kind of where I'm looking at the moment, or some innovative opportunity. I'm telling you that I'm not fully in agreement with putting a Lee County School District specific structure out there. I'm curious to see, perhaps a charter out of some other ones, and happy to work through that. I personally would not support any putting any more dollars into the current structure at the moment, at least me individually. So thank you.
Ms. Shaviano?
Thank you, and thank you for the information. And I know I've met with the Fort Myers Beach Mayor I've sat on the ad hoc conversations in the past, so I'm happy to see that there's conversations outside of the box to come with a resolution, for these students. I fully support charter. I came out of a charter from where I taught and where I started. So there is value there for these kids. So just looking forward to this moving in the right direction and getting some answers for our families out there as well. So thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you. So this is exciting news because I know that the community at Fort Myers Beach wants a school. So my mind was going all different ways. So with, obviously you brought up the SRF piece so if we did a public school, it would have to follow SRF, which, I mean, the cost of that is, I don't even want to think about that. But I think with charter, the ability to create the facility that would best suit the community. And I was starting to think what about it, being a possible shelter? And if it's raised up, it's, a shelter that's going to be hurricane resistant, as well as possibly even maybe up their emergency center. So a combination of things. And one of my notes was, and I was going to say this earlier, but when it was talked about when we talked about some building, everything needs to be metal roofs because I don't think the hurricanes are going away, unfortunately. So anything that Lee County School District builds, I would recommend metal roofs. But anyways, I think there's endless opportunity here for a partnership and with the community. And I look forward to future conversations for the best interest of Fort Myers Beach. Thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
I'm just always amazed that we bring back charter after 3 years. It just keeps coming back. So thank you. I met with the mayor as well, and it was a very great conversation. But we're here again with the charter. So I just want to make sure that it's another one. We just keep going, forward and forward and forward with this. And and I'm just curious if we could have this, because this is the first time I've seen this presentation. I appreciate the presentation. It's great, but I've not seen this. So if you could share that would be wonderful. So that way, because I have to digest, it's hard for me to look at this and figure it all out at this moment. And then also with the pictures, if there's pictures of any proposed buildings or anything like that, I would also like to see that. And I'm sure other board members would like to see that if they're out there that we have not seen.
Mr. Persons?
Also, if the superintendent could have the staff research and find out how much we're currently getting in school board taxes from the beach and what's anticipated with the new developments and things like that. I mean, it's not easy to do, but I know we have a planning department that's pretty sharp. So I think they could probably figure that out. These new resorts and things, because they'll go on the tax rolls. And I'd like to know, what are they actually giving us for us to give back? And I think it'd be nice to put into the conversation.
Absolutely. Happy to do that.
All right,
And
thank you.
we'll also provide some context around that about, how we share, that it's, how
Dr.
the Florida formula works. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Savage, do you want to add in?
It was just in response to Member Jordan's question about the plan. So there was a comment, I think Mr. Ribble may have talked about, plans and so forth. One of the things that we don't have any actual plans of, here's the project of what we're trying to execute. That's the reference, I believe, was we received I think a pro bono type of drawing that was done by an architect or some level of architectural work that was done through Fort Myers and that was shared with us. So I can't quite recall exactly how we received it, but it just shows, I think, the goodwill that I think a lot of folks are really excited about different ideas and they're willing to try to chip in and help in a lot of ways. But it wasn't a specific plan that we have already developed. The work that we're doing with the different folks trying to come up with different alternatives, we're not at a point yet where we have a blueprint or anything along those lines. It's just, that's the reference point. There was something that was circulating in the town of Fort Myers Beach related to, but I'll let Member Ribble clarify if he wants on that.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with what I was talking about, but there was like I said, there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of suggestions. And there was a party by the name of Michael D. Stewart, PE LLC, that designs buildings and does projects on the beach. And he put the pen to the pencil and to the paper. And this is on the internet. This isn't a secret. It's out there. I'm surprised you folks haven't seen it yet, but it's been all over Facebook 100 times. And there's a lot of chatter about it. This particular design would not be compliant with an elementary school because of the number of steps it has at the front. And I know he put a elevator in the middle if you look at the drawing, but the elevator's not going to be conducive for what we want to do. So, but anyway, it was a thought. It's raised at the right level, I believe. Our mayor's seen this drawing. We talked about it, and when I had lunch with him a couple of weeks ago. So, a lot of chatter, a lot of conversation. I can give this to. We can send this thing out.
Dr. Carlin?
Yes, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. The mayor did share that information with us. And, you know, we're very purposeful when we provide information for you. There are a lot of suggestions that come forward. We try not to share every single thing that we receive relative to this with you. What we try to do is we try to vet the ideas and see what seems to work, what doesn't. Mr. Ribble, you pointed out a number of situations there where, you know, there were concerns if this was to be a true public school as opposed to a charter or some other partnership. So, you know, I want to be very clear. We're never trying to hide things from you. We do try to properly vet them to make sure that they are ready for prime time. And so those are opportunities we do share within our staff for consideration, for evaluation, to make sure that they would indeed be compliant. So we do receive a lot of information, and we do want to give that out to you when it is a viable option. So just to be clear and to give credit where credit is due. Thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
Thank you, Dr. Carlin. I think that was for me. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that some members received this and some members did not receive it, is what I'm understanding, because it wasn't vetted and that's why it wasn't sent out.
Let me clarify. Our
Please,
staff
thank
received it.
you.
Our staff received it. I received it from the mayor, and then I
Okay.
shared it with our staff because our staff will vet it, but I did not forward it to any additional board member.
Okay,
Just for point of clarification.
that's why I just wanted to
Yeah,
clarify.
for point of clarification,
you.
yes, as we receive things that are appropriate to share, there are a number of things we receive. We will properly vet them through our operations team. We want to look through them, make sure that they are part of the conversation. And then when we come to you, they are ideas that have been properly vetted, and we will make sure all of you are availed to that information.
you.
But yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, I'm very hopeful to the future of what's going to happen at Fort Myers Beach with the families and the students and the families and the children that will continue to be a part of that island. But I'm going to pivot a little bit because I think we really need to focus on those students right now. I can't add to the construction part right now that hasn't already been said, but I'm really excited for the students that are going to be going, that are attending Heights. They've had enough taken away from them as is. And I'm very hopeful that they're going to have a more traditional setting, that this is going to come out on top when we talk about student achievement. You know, these poor children have been moved from a beach to a homeschool environment back to a San Carlos, which is very far from the beach, and then to Heights. So I'm very confident in the two administrators that are going to be working together to make sure that those children have an amazing year. And I commend the staff that is going to be working behind the scenes to help those. So thank you, Ms. Neely. I know you're a big part of that. Obviously, Heights is a little bit near and dear to my heart, being a former employee there, and it's a great school, and I'm very confident that those children are going to have a great year. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Have a great afternoon. We're going to pivot back to, I believe we are ready. Okay. So before we had a recess, we were in discussions with the school board attorney and general counsel contract.